Hi, and welcome to City Beat. I am your host, Greg, Public Services Supervisor for the Lewiston City Library. Joining me this morning is Tim Barker. Tim, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for coming on the show. So, Tim, can you tell us what role do you serve for the city of Lewiston?
I'm the Parks and Rec Director for the city of Lewiston. I've been the director for just about 3 years now, when Lynn Moss retired, and I've been with the city for about 6.
Oh, wow, long time. So what groups do you work with within the city?
There's a number of different citizen groups that we work with within our department. A lot of people don't necessarily know what all happens as far as advisory groups go with what we do within the different areas that we have. Just first off, within our department alone, we have Normal Hill Cemetery that we manage. We manage 23 different park sites within the community. We have the recreation services, senior nutrition programs, pools, and building maintenance and urban forestry. So we've got a lot of different areas within our department. So with that, we have citizen groups that we work with, and we have 3 different ones that I directly report to and work with as far as getting advice and discussing policies, procedures within the department. First one is our Parks and Rec Advisory Commission, which is kind of an overall support group for park development, for recreation programs, for senior nutrition. And then we have our Urban Forestry and Cemetery Commission. Back about 10 years ago, those used to be 2 separate commissions, but at that time we decided to combine them into one. So obviously advising on Earth Day celebration type events that we're active in, any urban forestry related things that we need to do, development of obviously progressing our urban forest in the community. And then with the Cemetery Commission side of that, we do an annual tour in May with the commission to go look at the cemetery. And coming up, I'll talk about a little bit later, is we're looking at developing a master plan for the cemetery. So that portion of our group is going to be real heavily involved in that. And then we also, within the city, we run the Youth Advisory Commission. So that's an advisory board made up of junior high school youth that help advise the city as far as our recreation programs are involved within different areas in the city, volunteering at the library and some other things that they're individually involved with. And then we also try to get them as much government experience, knowledge, and leadership experiences. They usually run 1 or 2 major events a year for the department. And then obviously the major group that I report to, besides the city manager, who's my supervisor, is the Lewiston City Council. And so usually any work that's done at the commission, the advisory commission level, then we take that to council for approval or to move forward with our plans.
Wow, so you really get to touch a lot of people in our community. That's great. So what are some of the accomplishments in the way of policies and ordinances that you've worked on recently?
One of them, obviously one of the main ones that we've been working on recently, has been an ordinance for skate park facilities. We've had our skate park, Mountain Dew Skate Park, for about 3 years now. We built it 3 years ago this last winter, and we had some initial rules and regulations that we had posted, but we kind of wanted to see how traffic and things were going and use of the facility was. And so what we had done this last October of 2013, was to develop an ordinance for longer standing rules and regulations for the park. And so that's kind of been one of the big hot topics for us over this last year. Our Parks and Rec Advisory Commission has been working on that one for about 12 to 18 months, so in that development stage. And so we've gone through a couple different processes. We're going to be working on getting the word out to the community regarding what those rules are and what it really means to have an ordinance, and abiding by those and the penalties that come along with that as well.
So regarding the skateboarding policy and voluntary smoking ban, how do you plan on providing some public awareness concerning those?
Well, we plan to obviously do things like City Beat with this show. We'll do some info spots with Kaylee W., work with the Tribune. We're going to try other media outlets. Obviously, Facebook is a huge one of ours. We have a couple thousand Facebook friends on our page, and so we'll get the word out through that. We also have our program brochure that we plan to try to highlight some of these new changes that we're having in our community.
Oh, sounds great. Sounds like good luck with that.
Yeah.
So we're fast approaching the new budget season for the fiscal year 2015, which is kind of amazing. That's just around the corner. So what types of changes are you anticipating seeing within the department or with your budget overall?
Well, what we're looking at doing is we're in a 2-year second. We're going to be entering a second year of a 2-year budget. So realistically, last year when we were creating 2014 budget, we created 2015 at the same time. Since then, we've obviously got a new council that's come on. So there's some changes that have occurred. We've been able to complete the first stage of the library build. So that's kind of freed up some of our staff time and funds available. And so what we're looking at is developing a couple new focuses within our department. My former position as the Assistant Parks and Rec Director was never filled, so I'd love to be able to create a new role as a supervisor over the recreation side, so either rec supervisor or replace my position. So then that kind of helps me out administratively, because right now, besides just an overall management of the department, I'm also serving dual roles right now. And part of that is because really our focus I want to have on the next 5 to 10 years is development of community park. We've owned the property. It's a tri-partnership owned between LCSC, the school district, and the city has 170 of 310 acres at that site. A lot of our acreage is in a wetland area in a canyon, but as far as the developable area, we want to be able to come in and try to really centralize a lot of our facilities. Right now, a lot of people don't realize that we lease a lot of our property out from the Corps of Engineers, Lloyd, and the airport, and some of those come with a significant rate. So, for instance, at the airport, we lease Airport Park and Hathaway ball fields for about $55,000 a year. If we're able to co-locate our athletic facilities at Community Park, then that'll obviously save us some of those funds. So we would transfer the use of those sites over to Community Park and start developing that. And so we've got a council right now that's been very supportive of looking towards that. Obviously, we've had the property for about 10 years. All we've been able to do at this point is we have a trail system along the exterior. LCSC has developed their cross-country course up there, and then we've provided actually some land for some BMX groups to be able to build some jumps and play around in the dirt. When the fun part is, and also a challenge at the same time, is when we built Mountain Dew Skate Park. Obviously, that brought a lot of interest out in both that park and providing facilities for other uses. And so that's really when we started working with Scott Jackson from Ride On Bikes and some of the local BMX participants in trying to find a site for now before we can develop them a full course to be able to play around. So like I said, as much as we can try to utilize the site up there, we're going to. The Clearwater Corn Maze that has been out at the rodeo grounds the last few years is going to be moving up to that site this year. Their first year that they had developed the corn maze, it actually was up there, but we had an early freeze that kind of ended that attempt. But we're going to try it again this next year since we have a lot of water available up there. That'll really help us out, and like I said, try to get as many different activities until we're able to fully develop up there. But our future plans are to have Little League fields, youth softball complexes, soccer fields, and adult complexes, basketball courts, and potentially an outdoor aquatic facility probably at some time.
Oh, it sounds great, and if folks haven't had a chance to go check out that facility, it really is something else, something special for the community.
It is, yeah.
And so what steps are you currently taking now to for future plans for the city's Parks and Recreation Department?
So we have multiple plans, some that are in place and some that are in the development stage. We have a park and open space master plan that was originally developed in 1999, and that's really the guiding force for a lot of work that I do in park development and with the Parks and Rec Commission. So it's kind of our booklet to work off of. We updated that in 2011. We had gone around and held 7 different community meetings throughout the year while we were gathering information to try and figure out where our focus needs to be moving forward. And what came out of that was development of community park highly, and then aquatics, addressing aquatics facilities as well. So obviously those are typically about a 10-year plan, and so we're utilizing that to try and develop where we want to go in the future. So the Park and Open Space Master Plan is one that we've had, but we updated it 3 years ago. We actually just sent out a request for proposals for a cemetery master plan. And so our cemetery was built in 1890. Since then, we really haven't looked at any sort of a master plan or business plan for the facility. So the way it was ran in 1890 is the same way it's being run now. We pretty much figure we can max out at about 20,000 plots, and we've really down to an inventory of about 300 to 400 at this point. We don't have any sort of a buyback program or cremain niche type opportunities, so trying to really bring the cemetery into the next century is really, or current, is what we're trying to do with this. So we're going to hire a consultant to come in and really someone that does this professionally and let us know what direction we need to move to try and help keep the cemetery self-sustaining. Bryden Canyon Golf Course is another one we're going to look at this year as a master plan for that site. So that's both having someone come in and evaluate the way it's managed now, and then also development of the course in the future. A lot of people don't realize with a golf course you typically need a population of about 40,000 people to make one course sustainable, and we have 4 in the valley. So obviously between the country club and the public courses, there's always a constant battle as far as pricing goes to try and stay competitive with everybody. As golfing is one that did take a dive the last 5 years or so, but we're hoping is going to kick back up and more people will start participating. We do get a lot of participants from out of town for those venues because of the weather that we have. Developing preliminary costs for community park development. Obviously, someone asked me right now what it would cost to fully develop out. I mean, we're looking at a $20 to $30 million price tag. So breaking those down and giving real concrete answers as far as like taking Airport Park, what the value is and what we've got into that, and we're putting it brand new into a new site, what those costs look like. And then obviously we had an assessment done on our outdoor pools study this last year, and it was presented to council recently. So looking at, okay, this is the condition that our current pool's in, that were built in 1942 and 69, and do we want to go towards one singular facility, or what can we do to fix the current ones we have and make them sustainable for longer term? So a lot of different areas that we're looking at, trying to really create concept plans so then we can look further out and see what type of funds we may need to develop those and keep those operating.
Oh, great. So it sounds like you have a lot of plans in the work right now and a lot of things going on. How can people contact you or make comments on the different projects that you're working on either now or down the line?
Yeah, there's many different ways. Obviously, city as a whole, cityoflewiston.org is the city's website. Anybody can comment off of the main webpage, or they can get into our department a little bit further. We've just restructured what ours looks like. We tried to reduce the number of links it takes to get to the answer. And so sometimes that can be a challenge to go from 6 clicks down to 2 or 3 to try to find what you need. Our Facebook page is Lewiston Park Rec. So if you do a search for Lewiston Park Rec, REC, then you can find us on Facebook, and we try to keep program updates, information, our catalogs on there, individual flyers for upcoming programs. So becoming a friend of that site helps individuals, so then it shows up on their news feed whenever we have new programs coming up. We're coming down to the Lewiston Community Center. We're at 1424 Main Street, across the street from Waffles and More, next door to Les Schwab. That's usually when people call and don't know where we're at. Those are 2 key areas that people usually can figure out. So that's where our main offices are, although we have satellite facilities across the city. And then you can also obviously call us at 746-2313 is our office number, and then we can get anybody any information. We'll be having some public meetings coming up regarding a lot of these plans that we're trying to develop, and so that's another great way to either pay attention to when the commission meetings are occurring, because those typically occur monthly. We do take some summers off, but going to commission meetings or contacting our office, we're more than happy to provide information if anybody's interested.
Well, that sounds great, and really appreciate having you on today, Tim. Thank you for joining us on the show, and on behalf of everyone here at City Beat and our guest Tim Barker, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time on City Beat.